Humans are social creatures. Rarely does a day go by where you don't interact with anyone. Maybe you have a family, maybe you live with a roommate, or maybe you engage with people during work hours, whether that is previously in person before the COVID lockdown, or in video calls or telephone calls. When you talk, you can bring mindfulness to what you are saying. It's about how it may impact others. It's about understanding what your intentions are of that conversation. And this is where we take meditation as a form of mindfulness and create that separation between the two. So mindfulness, the definition of it is purely about being aware, about being present, about being in that moment. And meditation is one skill that we can use, one technique to actually practice mindfulness. So in this exercise, we're just going to explore a mindfulness practice, and it's one that can take just a few minutes that you can utilize at any time and anywhere. So the idea is that you do this maybe once, maybe twice a day, and it could be whilst you're interacting with somebody, so say on the phone, it could be talking with a loved one, or just generally during any kind of social interaction. The idea is that before speaking, you bring mindfulness to your intentions. Ask yourself, why are you going to say whatever you are planning to say? Examine the possibility of saying it with even more kindness or patience. And then consider whether your words are timely, whether they are useful within this specific moment. We may often gossip, we may often interrupt, or maybe talk simply to avoid uncomfortable silences, filling the gaps. So just think about whether or not this is the appropriate time to talk, and what purpose your words will serve in adding value to the connection, to the conversation, to the interaction. It is possible that your words will maybe put somebody else down, maybe interrupt a person who is currently speaking, or possibly even ring us untrue. So with this thought, with this mindful approach to conversation, it's just trying to kind of reconsider maybe the choice of words that we are picking. So whilst talking, the idea as well would be to speak slowly. Just be mindful of the words that you are utilizing. And when somebody responds, either verbally or with body language, just observe how that feels. And remember that you can't control other people, but what you can do is bring mindfulness to your own responses. When you are talking, when you are done with talking, just leave the words be. Listen to the other person and wait for the right time to talk again once you've thought through a positive, influential, mindful response. And as you practice mindful speech more regularly, you will be able to navigate challenging conversations with a lot more ease. And with this part in particular, if you look at some of the world's greatest minds, the world's biggest innovators, they tune into that silence and that thinking time really well, and they use it very, very powerfully. I was watching an example of this of Elon Musk earlier this week, and he was asked a question, and whilst we may typically jump in to answer the question to fill the awkward silence, Elon didn't do this. He sat silently for 20-25 seconds, and you could see him on the video thinking, just thinking intently, mindfully, paying attention to what the person had asked him, and then formulating his response accordingly. And similarly, there was also a video of Steve Jobs doing the same kind of thing. that it took 15-20 seconds to formulate his response, but his response was a solid answer to the question, where he'd intently listened, mindfully listened to the question at hand. So have a play with it. Have a play with mindful speaking and mindful listening to just truly foster that connection with other people.